After quitting coffee for 18 months, I relapsed for a whole 6 months on and off, but I'm filming this YouTube video because it's finally been a whole month where I'm off coffee again. So how did I relapse? After being off of coffee and caffeine for a full 18 months, I was flown to Costa Rica to film the first ever TV show on the carnivore diet called Reverse TV. I know a lot of you probably have watched it, and it was a very stressful week for me because Miami-Dade College had started and I had to do a lot of arrangements and talk to my students in order to be away for that period of time. With all of that happening, I got a really bad headache. I had almost completely extinguished my headaches, but on that trip to Costa Rica, I got a really bad headache, and I was debating, should I take a Midol because that's the only thing that takes care of a headache for me, or instead of taking a drug, why not think of caffeine as a drug and have that instead? I opted for the coffee, and so I had a black coffee with some half and half, and I didn't add any sweetener, and it took care of the headache for me. And that was it. And then we filmed the show and I wasn't having any coffee for the full week there in Costa Rica. And then right after that, I went on a cruise. Now in that cruise, I had a lot of downtime.
Marty, I'm bored.
And because I kind of already dabbled with coffee, I didn't think too much of it. And I went back and I started drinking coffee every single morning. This experience reminded me just how much we underestimate addictive substances and how much of a hold they have over us. And it got me thinking. If you've watched my most recent What I Eat in a Day video, I'm still dabbling with a little bit of sweetness where I'm having Kodiak muffins that are protein packed, but still they're not carnivore and they're sweet. And I add some Lily's sugar-free chips on top of that. And so when I think how just 1 cup of coffee led me to going back to on and off caffeine addiction for a full 6 months, I can't help but think how much leaving those tiny little treats, even though they might not be as addictive as deep fried Oreos, for example, but still keeping that in my diet on and off and not thinking too much about it, how much of an effect this can actually have on my cravings and on keeping this habit alive. If I want to apply the lessons I've learned from my journey with caffeine addiction onto sugar addiction, I know that if you string enough days of sobriety of whatever drug you're trying to wean off, that really increases the chances that you're going to stick to that sobriety. If you haven't had caffeine for only 1 or 2 days, it's very likely that you might still go back and have a cup if you're having an especially stressful day. But if you have that stressful day after 2 months of not having coffee, it's highly unlikely you're gonna wanna break that streak. And given that sugar has been shown to be way more addictive than heroin, not just cocaine, but even heroin, I cannot help but think that even a little dabbling here and there is probably not the smartest thing that I'm doing. And if you are on a journey of sobriety from any drug, just remember that relapse is part of sobriety. And research has shown that it takes an average of 5 tries before you successfully get over a drug and you reach successful sobriety. So if it takes an average of 5 attempts, that means for some people, you might get sober from a drug, whether it's sugar or coffee or anything else, by just trying it once or twice, and then it sticks around, let's say the second time. And for other people, it might take 10 or even 11 attempts before you finally kick that habit. So don't be too hard on yourself. And this is something that I try to remind myself. Every day of sobriety is practice that you can have a full and happy and energetic and fulfilled life without that drug. I initially quit coffee because I thought it was triggering my headaches. And while that may be true to a certain extent, I know that even in the 6 months where I was having coffee, I still wasn't having a lot of headaches, if any at all. And that's because my diet is so much better than it used to be. And so I think my headaches were triggered by a mix of too much caffeine, but also eating carbs or eating foods that aren't healthy. Now that I know this about caffeine and I'm not worried about getting headaches anymore, the motivation for me to quit coffee is that it allows me to just wake up in the morning and head straight to the gym. Whereas when when I had that caffeine habit, I would wake up, have my cup of coffee, and it would literally take me 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, being on my phone or my laptop, answering emails, editing a YouTube video, or doing all kinds of stuff because I thought I needed time for my brain to really wake up before I had the energy to lift heavy and to do my cardio. All that's gone now. I can wake up, head straight to the gym, and it's really transformed my morning routine, and it's allowed me to be so much more productive. And for that reason, I'm never gonna go back to drinking caffeine. Waking up early and heading straight to the gym is the #1 common theme that I find amongst the hundreds and hundreds of clients that I've coached that can succeed at losing weight and then maintaining that weight loss. So if you're thinking of giving caffeine sobriety or sugar sobriety a try, I definitely would encourage you to do that. It is so much easier to not have any of those substances than to try and moderate, at least for a large chunk of the population, myself included. And now that the year is coming to an end and a lot of you are thinking of how they're going to change their fitness and health habits in the next year, check out my weight loss guide, Dopamine Body. I will link it in the description box below. And equally as important is the addiction guide that I have called Dopamine Brain. And Dopamine Brain looks into how you can raise your baseline dopamine level so that you can naturally be resistant against all kinds of addictions, not just sugar or caffeine, but also distractions. These guides contain in them the method that I use in coaching hundreds of clients successfully, even people that have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on addiction specialists to try and overcome their sugar addiction and yo-yo dieting for decades. Nothing works until you treat the root cause of your yo-yo dieting, the root cause of your binge eating or the sugar addiction or this food focus. So check out the guides and check out my website for the testimonials, and hopefully that can help you out as well. I would love to hear from you if you actually do get the guides and you try them and you find success with them. That's it for this video. Happy holidays. Do not forget to hit that notification bell so YouTube alerts you every time I post a new video, and make sure you are subscribed, and I will see you in the next one.